we went on setting up what we call a homegrown policy. Then the second thing was, after doing that, to have a national consensus. All the players, starting from the government, the members of parliament, the traditional chiefs, the non-government organizations, religious institutions, and ordinary people on the street wanting to do better and wanting to get out of poverty. And this, I think, was shared across the board.
Agencies usually have these conditionalities to that they expect or they demand that African nations adhere to in order to be given the necessary resources for development. And at some point, Malawi was having a problem in getting approval because of how it was managing, particularly maize. Now, how did you navigate that terrain of the international community and manage to convince them?
3 months down the line, after being president, was to visit Washington and discuss with them that perhaps Malawi, we know what our problems are, and we also know what the solutions are. But what we didn't have are the means to achieve our objectives. And this is where the Washington institutions came in, the Bretton Woods institutions came in. So we agreed that we'll have not an IMF program for Malawi or a World Bank program for Malawi, because if we did that, then it's their program, it's not a national program. People always say, that's a World Bank. We said, no, why don't we turn things around and say we want to have a Malawi program supported by both the World Bank and the IMF, meaning that we own the program, we implement it with their assistance and collaboration, and then we're able to assist, based on our own peculiarities of our economy. And I think that was really the essence for our success, because we believe that we had to take control of the situation.
So should this be the trend, to have a short-term attainable goals focusing on like 5 years or 3 years of development?
And that actually has been the struggle with the Bretton Woods institutions, because they stopped us. They discouraged planning. And yet planning is always there. Then after you have the perspective planning, for instance in Malawi, we had what we call Malawi 2020. That was done years ago. Someone dreaming what we want Malawi to be in the year 2020. Then you work backwards every 5 years until you get to where you are. Then you can have these strategies, which in those days we used to call development plans. But in Malawi, we have now what we call Malawi Growth and Development Strategy. We set out what we want Malawi to be, and we set up a minimum growth rate of 6% per annum. And we have achieved an average of 7.5% per annum.
The greatest concern of many African people is that when one time there emerges a great president, he stays on 5 years, then comes the next 5 years, they start worrying that he's going to decide to change the constitution and stay on forever. What's your position on this?
The Malawi constitution provides that a president can stay for 5 years. After that, if he or she is good, is re-elected for another 5 years. After that, you go home. And that's exactly what I'll do. I'm in my second term now. I'm preparing to go home. But before I go home, I must push the economy to a level where we can only go forward and not backward. This is very important. And I don't believe that anyone should insist on staying on. The temptation is always there, but not for me. Nobody in Africa is indispensable. They go today, Africa will still continue. So why should an individual believe that you are there and your country cannot go on without you? This is, I think, for me, is strange. I'll stay the period that I'm given to stay, and I will not stay one more day longer in the State House than the Constitution allows me.